Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Who is the first timer at the Yes event? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, wow, a couple of people. Let me just a little bit briefly talk about Yes. Yes is a youth educator storytellers interest group of National Storytelling Network, which is the biggest organization for storytellers in the United States. And we have about active 100 members, Yes members, and we meet like once a month, like a coffee hour like this, more informal, casual conversation. It's free to non-members and members, so please come to join us this coffee hour every month in the happy hours every other month. All the information you can find is going to be on our Facebook page. I will going to drop the Facebook link, so please like it because I'm going to send the recording of this video program into that page. So if you want to see, I don't have everyone's email, so please check that Yes Facebook page. Let me see my notes. Okay, so we have 5 storytellers today, and they all volunteer their time to present their program. So I want to say thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Sarah Beth, and for their times. So let's move on because we have an hour, and each storyteller get 10 minutes of presentation. So Aaron, could you start sharing a screen?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Erin O'Neill. I graduated from Butler University with a degree in digital media production. So spent a little bit of time with what I'm going to show you today, which is Premiere Pro. So what I want to just introduce to you first is, since I have this screen up, everyone wants to know the pricing of Premiere Pro. So there is a 7-day trial if you wanted to download this, play around with it. And then if you just want the single app, it is $21 a month. But let me show you why it's worth it. All right, so I actually need to, won't let me share my screen until I actually start the new project, so I can't walk you through that. But when you open up a new file so when you open up the app Premiere on your computer, it will take you to this screen where it will ask you to set up a new file. So you can pick where to save it to. Whoop. There we go. All right. And now I need to switch screens because it doesn't like me switching back and forth between windows. All right, there we go. All right, so this is what opens up when you start your new project with Premiere. It looks overwhelming, but I promise everything is in its proper place. There is something for everyone. So Premiere is great because you can do most basic edits, but you can also turn this into a professional movie. So I'm just gonna show you some very basic tutorial steps so that you can get a little bit of an understanding of what's possible here. So we have our program, which once we start to put videos in, we'll see this up here. And then the timeline is where we actually get to manipulate the video and handle the audio files and kind of piece everything together, which you'll see a visual of this in a minute. And then the effect controls is where we're going to be able to edit everything, but we're going to start with importing media. So down here in the bottom left, and again, the configuration could look a little bit different depending on how your window opens. But this is pretty much the standard look for when you open a new Premiere Pro project. And this is all Adobe software. So I'm just going to double click here. I'm not sure if you can see this screen because it's secondary.
Yes, we can see it.
You can, okay. I'm trying to now find this. I'm gonna do this a different way. Okay, so you would find the folder that you need. Let me see if I can show you my full screen. All right, can you see this file folder?
Yes.
Okay, so I have some videos in here. We're going to dive into equestrian video today. So all I need to do on a Mac, at least, is to drag this into my Premiere screen and drop it. You can also double click that import media to start and find the folder that you need and import those files. So once I've done that, you can see that I have some thumbnails over here to be able to see what video I want to select and drop into the timeline. So let's just start with this one. So I'm just going to drag this over into this area and you'll see it started a timeline for me. So I can add each of these videos into my timeline in whatever order I'd like to. And again, there's a lot of in-depth elements to Premiere Pro. So you'll see there are multiple audio bars, there are multiple video bars. So I can actually layer things over top of each other, but I'm not going to get too heavy into that today because I just want to show you how to do a very basic video production. So the tools that I use most are cut, and I drag these back and forth to kind of adjust where I want my video to start. So for example, this video that I have here, and you can see up here that this will show you where the bar is kind of previewing the video. So this is where I'm at in my video. Let's say I don't really want to start it until about here. So what I can do is I can either use this slice tool, the razor tool. I can hit C on my keyboard, and I can cut this and then delete this. So it's a really fast way to trim clips. Or I can also drag this down to where I want the video to start. So this is a great tool for cutting out those introductory things that are in your recording on Zoom that you really don't want in your full recording. Those are going to be your #1 tools. And if I decide that I went too far and I watch this back in the playback, I can always extend that clip again. So it's a really easy way to kind of adjust your start and end point. This goes on both ends. And then the other tool that I will use is, so right now I'm on my pointer, which the shortcut is V. So I will caution you against trying to move your clip while you have this razor tool enabled, because it will just cut things and it won't actually move it. So you can either go back here and hit selection tool, or you can select V on your keyboard so that I can move clips around. Handy tool is ripple delete. So you can see I've deleted a little bit of footage here. And now if I were to play this back for you, let me mute. This is the mute track, by the way, in case you ever do need this, or if you can't hear audio, please check this. So you'll see that when the timeline continues on, it's just a blank screen. So I need to fill that space. I can either drag this over, and you'll see I have snap enabled, which is another tool that it's really good to look up, but I won't go too far into today. So I have snap enabled, which means it's going to try to align to the nearest clip. You'll see it kind of clicks itself over. Or I can right click. This is my favorite tool, ripple delete. So it will just move everything back over. Additionally, let's say, all right, I have these 4 clips in here, but I really wanted to add something all the way at the beginning. I can highlight the clips and move them over, or I'm going to hit undo here, or I can select all of them. Now on my keyboard, that's A. It's also this tool over here, so track select forward tool. And I can just select the first thing in the timeline, and that will automatically select everything. So if you have an intro that you need to put into your Zoom recording, for example, that wasn't in the recording itself, this is a great way to just slide all of this over and then drag in that introduction that you want. Let's talk briefly about audio. So you'll see that I have all my audio tracks down here. Now, right now it's muted, so you won't be able to hear anything. But let's say that one of these audios, and this will come in handy for especially editing Zoom recordings, where some people's volumes might be a little bit lower than others. So let's say I really needed to make this one section of audio a little bit louder. There are 2 ways that you can do this. One, if you drag this down, you'll see that there are levels right here. So in my video, which is also synced to my audio, this little keyframe will help you adjust this audio. So you can add the keyframes, say here. And because I only want to adjust this one particular part, you'll notice that both sides move when I move this, but this part is already loud enough. So if I go just a touch forward and add another keyframe, I can just bring up this audio and it will give me a gradual increase. And then let's say I need to lower it back down because this audio is certainly loud enough. I'll just add another keystroke and bring this back down. So it's a great way to kind of adjust audio so that it's not very sudden, it's not too abrupt, but it allows you to kind of play with people's microphones if they're a little bit quieter than the rest. If the whole audio clip is too quiet, you can select the audio clip and you can either go to, and I know I'm going through all this really fast. Adobe has so many great things. So I encourage you to go back and watch this recording so you can really soak it all in. So you can go to audio gain. And this will enable you to smoothly increase the audio for the entire clip. I typically start by adjusting it 2 to 4 decibels. So that's what that dB stands for, is decibels. So I might do 3. And watch this clip right down here as I hit this. You'll see that all of the audio kind of goes up. So I'm going to hit undo so you can see the effect. So it'll increase it just barely. However, as you do this and you go back and watch the clip, keep an eye on this meter over here. You can't see it because it's muted right now. Let me unmute this so you can kind of get an example. I'm going to turn the volume way down though. So these audio levels will show you where everything is at. I try to keep the peak, which means this looks like the loudest piece of the audio right here. If it's, let's see, if it's up here and you can't see the tip of that mountain, it's too loud and you will deafen your audience. So you definitely want to make sure that you can still see the tip, and you want those audio levels, to be around the 10 to 12 area max, maybe 6, depending on whether you're working with music or something else. So in the last 20 seconds that I have left here, I'm happy with this. And you can add, if you do default transitions, for example, it will slowly fade you out. So it will fade out the audio and it will fade out the video. So that's a great way to kind of end a professional presentation. When you go to, when you're finished with the video, you just go to File, Export Media, and you'll have a whole host of options. Do some research, figure out which option is going to be best for you, but this is what it will look like, and you can make sure that you can preview kind of your whole video to make sure it's the file that you want and that the videos are selected correctly. Again, I know that was a lot. I threw a ton at you, but hopefully those are some basic tools and tricks that you can use and kind of go back and review to get you started on the right foot.
Thank you so much, Erin. I'm so impressed with the Adobe Premiere program, but I'm more impressed with how great a teacher you are. You pack so many information in like that 10 minutes. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Erin.
So I'm going to stick around for about 10 minutes or so. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to chat me. Again, Adobe Premiere Pro is great. It's very, very similar, as you'll see later, to Davinci Resolve, which I believe Rachel is going to cover. So just keep that in mind. That's
great. Thank you so much, Erin. And if you have a question, that's a great segue to talk about. We don't have time to ask a question in a verbal way, but you can use a chat. And then we have 5 tellers here. So please make sure you said whose names you're asking question to. So Erin, could you talk about this? Or Yasu, how much was that Movavi again? Please put the names first to ask the question in the chat so that you know who's asking a question. So let's move on next to presenter. Katie, could you start the sharing? Absolutely. She's going to do iMovie.
Yeah, so while I'm getting this set up, so iMovie comes free with any Mac. And if you don't have it on your Mac, you can download it for free from the App Store. And the thing I like about iMovie, so if you are one of those people who just saw what Erin was doing and went, wait, that's way too many buttons. I am really lost. I'm totally confused and I will push the wrong thing. iMovie is a good starter. It's a great, very user-friendly video editing tool that you can use for free with a Mac that gives you some of the same functionality, clearly not as much, but it'll do your basic video editing. So when I open up iMovie, the first thing I see is I can either do my media, which then I have this whole list over here and I can click around and see what I've got, some stories that I pre-recorded or, different promo things that I've made, or I can go to my projects and then I see a list of all of these different projects that I've made for different groups. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to create a new project. And when I'm creating something, you can either do a movie or a trailer. I know Yasu has done a number of these trailers. I've only ever done the movies, so I'm not going to speak about the trailer function. But it brings you to this screen. Now, you might think this looks rather similar to what Erin had. A lot of these programs will probably have a very similar look because you need some basic functions to be able to manage what you're doing. So here is your import media place, and that will be where you put any of the raw footage that you're going to edit. Over here to the right will be what you're editing. So this is where you can play your video. And then down here is where you actually see the timeline of what you've got going on. So if I want to import media, I just click this button and then it gives me all kinds of stuff that I can do. Let me go to my movies and I'll just do this Zoom recording basics thing that I made a long time ago. So then I'll import this and it pops up. So I've got this video that is something that I had to make for work, and it is a thing that may be similar to some of the things that you have to make. So there's a lot of me talking, and I can import just a small piece of this, or I can import the whole thing. So if I wanted to bring the whole thing, I would just drag it and drop it down here, and it's 42 minutes and 6 seconds long. Or if I want to take just a piece, let's say the beginning was just me rambling for a while and I know that I don't want to have that, I can trim out the beginning if I know exactly where I'm getting, and just take a small chunk of me pointing at a phone and I can put that down here. So I've got this then, let's say this is the chunk of the video that I want to actually edit. So a few of the things that I do regularly in iMovie that are very basic are you can add titles to it. So if I want to say, I want to just say something that says, learn to Zoom. I just type that in and I have it as a title here. So now if I hit play, it'll pop up and it's got a fade effect, and then it'll drop out. And those effects come automatically. You can adjust them with each different title option over here, but they're automatically embedded in a lot of those. So it'll give you some, this is really made for somebody who is creating their own home movies or sharing things that are, very basic, simple things. So, and I've used it to create professional videos as well. You can also upload, if you want a fancy graphic that you've made in Canva or something, you can upload that as part of your media and just drop that in here. Now, let's say I've got this, I want this Learn to Zoom to have some music under it. I can come to my audio tunes and I can take things from GarageBand if I have edited the music myself over there. I can add sound effects, or I can go to iTunes. Let's see here. Let's probably not do something. I think, oh, you know what? That's copyright music. I probably can't do copyright music if we're recording this. So let's just say, I believe this is copyright free here. So I put this music down here. Now you'll see that if you look at the bottom here, you see where the levels are for the music. So I probably don't want to have just silence in the beginning. So if I select this track, then and you'll hear the noise of it playing. I can break that track up. I use the shortcut Command B, which is used to edit something. And then I can attach this to any place I want it to start in my video. So let's say I want it to start, a little bit into my so it's just plain black, and then it starts with music. You can listen to it. All right, so that's kind of, that clearly that's not a very easy, nice intro, right? Because I just went to where the sound was, but you get the idea. I'm adding in sound over it. So if I need to adjust this at all, I can do that as well. I don't know if you want me to go into details about that. Let's talk a little bit about trimming things within here. So let's say I want the music to only last during the text part. I can come over here. I can break that up and I can just delete this whole part. I can bring the volume down and bring it back up. And this one will show you, you know, reds, yellows. This is too loud. This is a good level. And you can have it so that however you want it to be with that. So I've got that. And then I go from text to, you know, me talking. Now let's say I can also zoom in here. So this is if I have lots of little little clips of video that I want to piece together, I can make them very small so I can see all the things side by side. If I want to edit some like a very particular nitpicky part, I can go in, like zoom in quite a bit. So right here, you can see like the volume isn't real great. So let's say like there's a place that I make a mistake, okay? And I watch and I realize my mistake, the good part of my video ends right here. And then I'm about to make a mistake. So then I just break up that clip. And then let's say my mistake, I ramble for a while and I want to cut out all that rambling. And then here I am actually doing the thing I want to do. I can take this section and delete it. It'll automatically push those together. And then if I want to create a transition between them to smooth from one to the other, I can do something that I would call like rather cheesy, something like one of these spin ins, which does have its place and can be appropriate. I usually think rather than portrait. So you saw that like when I played that was rather than, you know, I think that's really cheesy. I don't like those kinds of transitions. I'm more apt to go with something like a cross dissolve. Now there might be like if you're doing a trailer and you're doing something fun for students or for teachers that has that kind of a feel, that spin in might be great. But for what I'm doing, training people to use Zoom, it doesn't seem appropriate. So instead I put in this cross dissolve rather than portrait. So you just saw how it dissolved from one thing to another. Or I can do, so I use that one. Sometimes I also use the cross blur. You want to rather than portrait. So you can, it blurs, right? So there's different options here you can do, and you can go, you know, really crazy and you can go really simple, right? So, you know, you can have a page that's turning. If you're going to do something where you're like making a storybook, you can make a page turn. You know, there's different things like that you can do. You can also insert these different like maps and backgrounds. This is handy if you're doing a program where you're going to be traveling from one place to another with story and you want to demonstrate on a map where that is. Those are built right in here. So we talked about the titles, we talked about audio, and the nice thing is that iMovie integrates with all of your other media stuff on your computer. So if you create something in GarageBand, like maybe you're recording just your audio in GarageBand, then you can pull it into iMovie and do pictures over it if you're doing a digital storytelling piece. You can, you know, if you have music that you've uploaded, if you downloaded to iTunes that you want to use, you can bring that in. So I really like this. It's worked for most things that I want to do. There are some limitations. I can't add, you know, animations or make things like, I don't know if you've ever watched any of the like food theories on YouTube. That's those are the kinds of things that are you can't do something that flashy with this. This is really kind of basic, but it does serve most needs. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. I didn't get into all of these things. But the other thing is that Apple does have some really great tutorials as well. And if you buy a Mac product, you usually get a little bit of free time in the beginning to learn how to use stuff. So that's iMovie. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Katie. iMovie is amazing. I didn't know. I always use iMovie in iPad and MacBook. There's so many more options to edit. Thank you so much for. Wow.
Yes, I definitely recommend even if they do have mobile options for almost any of these things people are talking about, that you probably want to do the one on a computer because the functionality in general is almost always better on a computer than on a mobile device.
Wow. Thank you so much, Katie. It was a great presentation. So next is Yasu. It's me. Let me share screen. this. I hope I will do a good job as a to. So I don't have a timer, so I will just start the timer in my here. 10 minutes. Okay, so this is a Mobabi, which is you can use for PC, and tagline PC and Mac. Tagline for this video editing program is iMovie for PC users, and I use PC, so I started using a Mobabi, and I would show you how to make the video editing from scratch. You go to my video, show acts. I'm working on the summer reading programs for library. So I will put the monkey story and opening. I will put everything in this media bin, like here, and I will start. This is the opening animation I'm working on right now. So it has a little bit animation like this. And for this timeline, if this is too big, you can use a scale and you can make it small so that you can see a big picture of this recording going to be. So I will put the story in between and ending in the back. So it seems like ending is too small because it's a 20-second piece. If you want to edit it here, you will change the scale to make it bigger so that you can totally do different, you can totally see the ending better. But I want to see a big picture here. I've seen so many virtual shows since pandemic hit and in library setting, schools. What put me apart, set apart, is a transition, as Katie was showing. And Mobabi is so easy with transitions. Let me show you. So if you don't have transition, what it looks like, end of my opening, to...
Hi,
it's just suddenly
my
changed.
name is Yasu.
But
I'm originally
in
from
Mobabi and also iMovie and other program, this is the transition. There are so many transitions you can totally do. Click from here. And if you want to see how the transition work, let's see. If you click, this will be circle out and then change it. I like circle out, or I'm doing a library program, so my favorite one is page turn, like this. So you can pick this transition and put it in between the clip, like here. So now this ending, 2 clips is going to be transitioned like that.
My name is Yasu.
But
I'm
if
originally
you're
from
overwhelmed
Japan.
like me, there's so many transitions. What great things about Mobabi is, if you put so many clips here, if you click here, transition wizard, you can totally decide how long the transition is going to be. So that was 2 seconds. End of the 1 second of the clip ending, and then 1 second of another clip. That's the 2 seconds of transition. You can totally change it to, let's say, 1 second. And then you can use random transition. If you put OK here, all the transition, they will do all the transition randomly. So let's see this 2 clips, how they choose the transition. I like that transition, but I want to change it for sake of changing. You can totally change it if you don't like it.
Papa!
That's okay. That's okay too. So you can totally change the transition and you can play with it. Mobabi, it's so easy to make a transition change, and transition really gives you a production value, because if you do it for library, and then if someone has a really fancy transition or like a smooth transition, I feel like, wow, that person knows about the video production. Video texting, do I have time? Yes, video. So text, you can put it in the video too. So for example, there's so many style you can do. Let's click one of them. This is a circle, title comes up. I like fly in. So in order to put the text into the video, you just drag down here, and let's see how it looks like.
Japan, but I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Okay, so I like that, but let's change the name, Yasu. And let's see, we can change the position too.
My name is Yasu. I'm originally from Japan, but I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And we can change this position if we like to change, and we can make it bigger. This is so flexible because some of the program you can totally do a center or the bottom, but this one you can totally move around and change the text. So now it look like.
I'm originally from Japan, but I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Yes, I like that.
Today,
and another thing Movavi can do so easily is I have to be able to. Oh, share screen ended. Sorry. I want to show you. Sorry, I cannot see well. Oh, here, media bin. If you have a PNG file, like in Movavi, in Canva, you can make a PNG file. You can put the object graphic into the story. So, for example, I have this paper airplane here. Let's put it on the same timeline here. Let's make it a little bit bigger, and here. Well, what I can do, and then select picture to picture, overlay, picture to picture. Okay, so now, as I don't know if you can see well, but the picture, paper airplane comes in.
Hi.
And in Movavi, you can animate this easily. Pick the animation, and then they will show you animation style. For example, if you wanted, like, kids would love probably this one, animation like goes like this, or loop goes like this. So if you want this effect, you can drag this into your graphic, and let's see how it looks like.
Hi. My name is Yasu.
You can totally
I'm originally from
do the animation in the menu graphic like this so easily. If you don't like that, you can reset this keyframe. Here, let's see, remove all keyframe. And let's do maybe scroll down like this. It's here. Put it in the graphic. Let's see how it looks like.
Hi. My name is Yasu. I'm originally from Japan.
You can combine two other animations together. So Movavi, it's really easy transition, really easy animation of the object if you want to put it, your logo or whatever, PNG files, text, I talked about it. Another things I love about Movavi is this is where you export, you change into the movie file, but you can pick any kind of movie, so many variety of movie file. For example, GIF. If you change GIF, today I don't have time to show the GIF, I have 2 more minutes. If you change GIF, you can put the video inside another video. So you can insert, like, let's say you have a TV screen animation there, and then you can show yourself putting a video inside of that video. So GIF is really easy to use, and you can totally do MP4, API, and then other files. And you can also do MP3. So if you're working for a podcast or something, you can easily change that audio file too. This is very easy. And Movavi has option of quality, good, high, highest. If that file is too big to put it on YouTube or wherever, you can little bit reduce the quality, video quality, and then you can make it high. High is really pretty good quality. So you can choose good, high, highest according to your file. I think that's all. Oh, the cost. So Movavi editor cost one-time payment $59.99, which is I totally think it's totally worth of all my show I have done in this Movavi, and it's really working for me. So, but if it's a Valentine's Day or something like that, they do occasionally sale. In the Valentine's week, they had like $29.99, and the video editor you can totally do. So that's probably all the time I have. If you have any question, please drop it into the chat, please. Thank you. Okay, so let's put another hat. And next presenter we have is Rachel. Rachel is going to do a presentation about Davinci Resolve.
Yes, Davinci Resolve. Now, the first time I even did video editing was actually after the shutdown. So if that gives you any kind of hope, I'm not actually a tech person. I just kind of pretend to look like it, but I am not. And so I had to very quickly learn something, and I wanted something that was free. Davinci Resolve is free. It does scare some people because there's a lot of bells and whistles. There's the free version and then there's the paid version. But everything that I have done for Story Crossroads has been the free version. So I have not found any need to actually have to buy the paid version. Every so often there might be things that you might want to have, but what I'm able to do is good enough for me. So I just want to let you know that. So when I share the screen, you might be scared, but you'll recognize certain elements of other things. So that being said, now I made you really scared. All right. So here is a Davinci Resolve. And just like with the other ones, here is my place for media. I already labeled the project. So this is actually one we're working on, which is coming out May 1st with Jessica Robinson. And usually it actually brings you, once you label the project, it puts you into this screen. But I never hang out in the cut screen. On the bottom here, I always go to the edit. And so once I'm in the edit, I have the main video with for Jessica, but then I have the bookends. I have my introduction video. I have my ending video. I like to put our logo on there, and there's our Story Crossroads anthem, which I'm going to show you of clipping together. So I've already put them in. Normally you could right click in this media spot. And when you right click, you can import media. So again, you'll see a whole kinds of things in here. Most of the time I put my blinders on. I just don't even look at most of those things, and then it's fine. Once my things are imported there, I have my beginning. So I'm gonna drag it. So I drag it down here, and you can see it pops up, and there's no sound to it, but because it's a video, it just kind of automatically brought an audio one as well. And then there's the middle part, and I drag that on and click, it's on. And then I have my ending part. Now you'll notice that this is something that you've seen in the other ones, this lovely bar, which can make life a lot easier. Because wherever that bar is, if you're gonna cut and paste, I would put that bar in place and then it'll clip exactly where you want it instead of having to shift it back and forth and dragging it. So using this bar is going to really be helpful. Now what I'm also going to do is I need to get to here because I want to drag in my ending. So I have my ending piece, and you'll notice that this one has sound, this one doesn't, but I want to add music for the beginning. So I have the music, I drag it in, put it in here. Now I have two audios. I have audio 1 and audio 2. Now my audio 1, it's already in place. I don't need to play around with it. I can even look at the levels right now. Usually if you do the bar, you put the bar where your video file is that you want to check on. And then I sometimes click on it. You notice that it clicks the video and the audio for Jessica. They're linked together. And I can look and I can see how the levels are. So right now, audio 1, it's right there at about a 10. So if I were to play it just a little,
people airing their,
so it has some red marks. So I need to bring it down just a little bit. But then my music itself is way too loud. That's my audio 2. So usually for that one, I'm pushing it down towards maybe about 30. And that way that already helps my music. So audio 1, audio 2. Then I like to cut it. So I put right here, you see how it pops up, kind of those two arrows both ways. So I take it and I'm going to drag it because I don't need all that percussion to kick it off. I'm going to kick it off closer to here. I click off of it. I click just the audio 2 and I pull it. And that's going to be my beginning. But it's so long. Sometimes I like to take this bar and I kind of run with it. I get to the end of my music. And then you see again, there's that one little symbol there with the two arrows back and forth. So I can take it and I'm going to bring it over and kind of woo, you know, kind of a little fun ride there. Until finally I get it about here and click. I love it how it already tells me that this is probably a good place to let go of it. And now you see how there's that little white thing right there. I can actually pull that back a little so it's not sudden. You don't want to go from this loud music to suddenly Jessica's talking. So I pull it back a little bit so that it will be a little bit more nice to listen to. I also sometimes do the beginning one. There's one at the beginning and end of every piece with audio. So I'm going to pull that just a little bit as well. And now I already have my music set for that. But I'm going to want to actually add a bar in the logo during the time that Jessica is speaking. So I'm going to go back to my media and I have my little box shadow. So I'm going to drag it. I'm going to click it up above here because this is what I want. I don't want it for a few seconds. I want it for the whole time. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to drag it and drag it. And you see right there, it reminds me, hey, this is a good spot. So I let go. My blue bar is there. However, the blue bar, what's interesting about it is that it's not the right size that I want for it. So I'm going to have to play around with it. And in order to do that, I have to click onto the blue bar itself. And I'm going to need to actually have it be bigger. But I left my bar, remember when I did the music, way over here. So I take my bar again. I click my blue box. I don't want it covering her nose. I'm going to go now into Inspector. It's on that upper right place. You see it right there. Under Inspector, when I click on that, I can zoom and transform. So if you see this, I can make it bigger. So now I can stretch across the whole screen like I usually like it. So I can put a web address on it. And then you have your positioning, your X and your Y. Remember that when you're a kid and you had to do X and Y stuff? It comes so handy right now. And so then I take it down, I drag it down to where I want it. And then I want to have my logo. So we put it, and look, I'm stacking it. You're going to keep stacking things. I'm going to move this over a little bit. So now, if I wanted to fix the position, I definitely don't want it as big as that. Definitely, Jessica would not appreciate if that's what happened. So now I'm going to not make it bigger. I'm going to make it smaller. So I'm making it smaller. And then now I'm going to use my X to work on that position. And then I'm going to use the Y. Oops. There we go. And we have that pretty much together. But I don't want it just like that. I want something actually on the blue bar. Now on the left right here, it says titles. These are ones that you can use. I usually use just a basic title. If you use these other titles, they can get all fancy. Sometimes you don't want it to be too fancy. You just want it to be readable and you want it to be there because it's more for marketing and not to be entertaining. So in that case, I take the basic title and I'm going to drag it. And if I hover long enough, it will bump up another line. You notice that now I have video 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 things right here. My red bar is on here, so I can click on that title. And I go in Inspector. If it's not up already, I click on Inspector. And now I'm going to put Save Your Spot. And then I'll put Story Crossroads. Woo, too many S's. storycrossroads.org/all things story. Once I have that, I can change different fonts. I usually like Open Sans because it works for someone who has dyslexia. So I like to have certain fonts that work for that. And then I can have it normal. I can have it bold. I usually like things bold because, you know, why not? Be bold, but not too bold. No, oh, I couldn't help it. So now I also want to change the size. So right there, the size, I can drag it or I can put a specific number in. I like to kind of play around with it. I'll see what kind of fits. And then I have to work on the position again. So again, I need to put it down. And then I'm going to slide it over. Let's see. And it tells me, well, obviously that means I need my font a little bit smaller. And then I can put that right there. And then just like I stretched for the box shadows, I can stretch the logo to be the same amount of time. But what I can also do is I can do it at the same time. Let's say I need both of those stretched. So I'm going to click on the text. I'm going to press my control button, and then I'm going to click on the logo. You see how they're both in red. And I'm going to, oops, sorry, they weren't both in red now. So they need to be both in red. Oh, there you go. Then I let go of the control button. That's what I was not doing. And then I can drag them at the same time instead of one at a time. I get them to the end, click, nice, it's done. Now, whenever I work on a project, I like to go into File and just save project every so often. You already created the name when you went in, but it's just super smart to do. Every so often, things can happen. Things can crash. You'd hate to be putting tons of time and then you didn't do that. Now, this right now is not quite done at this point, but it's still getting pretty close. If I'm ready to actually export it out, I'm going to go into Deliver on the bottom right here. So if I click on Deliver, it'll take me to this. I can preview it. I can title it here. So I'll put Jessica really quick. The location, I just usually do it on my desktop. And then once I do that, I scroll down. The video options, just like what Yasu was sharing, there's many options. The best one is really MP4. I can't imagine why you'd want to use any other ones unless you wanted to use maybe something like a GIF that Yasu mentioned, but MP4 I think is the best one. And then I always look to make sure that it is the best. I haven't had problems uploading it to YouTube, so not a worry there. And then I would add it to the render queue. Once it's in the render queue, I can then click render all, and it will suddenly pop up on my desktop, ready to go. I always watch it one more time to make sure that there wasn't something else that I was missing for something like that. But it just gives you an idea of some things you can do.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So much packed. And I'm so amazed you get to logo and then blue titles within 10 minutes, Wow. I'm always interested in Davinci Resolve, and you can do that all in the free version, what you did.
Yeah, what I did, that's all free. I've never had to pay for anything. If I put too many fancy things on something, it might remind me that I could pay, but sometimes I'm like, no, I don't need that one. I'm sure I could use a different one, and it will let me do that. So I've never, ever had to pay. And on the YouTube channel with Story Crossroads, that's almost all Davinci. I do pull things from Canva to put into it. And I'm going to put 2 links in there. I'm going to put the link where you can download it, and you can double check if your computer can handle it, because you will not be doing this on a phone or an iPad. It has to be a computer. And then anything I had to learn, I self-taught myself with this. I did not know video editing. So if you just put blinders on and not be overwhelmed by the extras, you'll be good. Look for the basics. And then I'm putting in there someone I learned a lot of crash course things of Davinci on YouTube. And I put that link here. His name is Jason Yadlovsky. So he has a lot of crash course. If you ever need something, I don't know how to do transitions in Davinci Resolve, go to YouTube, type in Davinci Resolve and whatever your problem is, and I bet you there's something you could watch for a couple minutes. It'll show you exactly what to do. I never felt like I was in danger of, oh no, I'm going to ruin everything. So people are kind and have put out videos.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rachel. You're always so resourceful. Thank you so much for contributing time into your program. So last we have Sarah Beth. She's going to do Camtasia. So thank you so much, Sarah Beth.
All right, thanks, Yasu. Hi, I'm Sarah Beth Nelson, and in addition to being a storyteller, I'm also a professor. I train mostly future school librarians. And so I actually do a lot of my videos for school, for teaching. But I'm trying to think like a storyteller, how you could also use these things as a storyteller. So I'm showing you Camtasia. I just pulled up the website where you would download it. It is one of those that costs money. But they do have a free trial if you want to test it out and see if you like it. And then if you decide to buy it, if that would be worthwhile to you, there you go. You can see how much it costs, $250. And I'll be honest with you, I use this because my job pays for it. I told them I needed it. Even when we're not in COVID times, I do a lot of online teaching. And so they pay for it. And that is how I use Camtasia. What Camtasia does that sets it apart from some of these other programs is that it does screencasting. So you can record what's happening on your screen, not just your video, although you can record that also. So I'll show you some things you can do with screencasting. Here's a video that I made actually to answer a student question. It was easier to just make this video doing a walkthrough than to try to type out a response. Let me see. Go to about 4 minutes. A student wanted to know how to attribute photos on a website
with a number. So it should be right at the top of my list here. Okay, there. So now I have the image on my site, and then it's always a good idea for screen readers to include.
So you see with the screencasting, then the student can watch what I'm actually doing as I'm editing this Google site, and you do have a little box where you can see my image as well. Another thing you can do with screencasting software is that you can make your own video clips of other recorded videos that are online. You would want to be conscious of copyright issues if you're doing that, but it's possible, and you could use it responsibly. So I also, with my students, I made a joke about what do you call me, professor, doctor, Sarah Beth, whatever, and there's this clip from the Voyager series about being called ma'am.
Gentlemen, welcome aboard Voyager.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so I pulled this up on Hulu and I ran Camtasia and got this clip, and it's just, it's under a minute long. But you could use that to actually, you could pause as you're recording and talk through things or talk over them if you wanted to talk about a video that you were sharing. So next I will actually open up Camtasia. Can you, hold on, I'm getting a message, so I'm not sure if it's screen sharing the same. Okay. Okay. So I opened up Camtasia, and I usually start recording from here. If I'm doing screen sharing, I start recording from here. So I push this record button. Oh no, it's not going to let me show you at the same time. I'll tell you what I'm seeing. I push the record button, and it has multiple. I can turn on and off different functions, so I can tell it record my screen, record my face, or just record one of those things. And with the audio also, I can turn on my microphone, but I can also say system audio. So that's what you need if you're doing, like when I recorded the video clip, you need to record system audio. And so you can also do one of those or both of them. So then I have a recording here, a screen capture recording that I already made. And like with some of these other things that we've seen, you kind of see it up here, and then you drag it down here. This one is already here, and there's a track for the recording of my face and a track for the screen capture. When this look like this?
Hi, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to.
I can move over here. I can move where my face shows up if it's on top of stuff that I want people to be seeing on the screen. So that's kind of handy. I can also, sometimes I don't want like my students to see all the tabs I had open. So I can, let's see. Oh, it's, hold on. There we go. I can crop this. So I can cut out my tabs, and then that's going to play for that whole clip. Same when you move your face around, it's going to continue for that entire clip. I can pull in other video. So I made this demo, something like that a storyteller might do. It's a demo of how to research classical stories using the Perseus database. So that could be like a storytelling workshop that you might use screen capture for. But then I also remembered I told a story about Helen on Facebook Live. So I downloaded that video file, and I can pull it in over here. But then it's, it has actually multiple stories on it. So again, we have this little arrow that we've seen before, and I made a note for myself. I really want it to, there we go. I can move along and just click to where I want it to be. So I can cut this video right, scrolling. Around 31. So I get it to that place, and then I have this little tool over here where I can cut it, and then that first part I don't want, so I can delete it, and then you see it's way over here, so I actually need to bring it back so that it connects. And yeah, so I need to get it way back over there. And like with some of these other ones that we've seen, you can do transitions to make it a smoother transition between clips. When I go from researching on the Perseus database to an actual story that came from that research, we would not want it to be abrupt and just jump from one to the other. And like some of the other people here today, I also am self-taught. So there are probably some functions in here that make this easier that I have not fully explored yet. There we go. So I can pull in a transition, like the fade, and put it in between there. And then again, we can see
Helen,
what that looks like.
I just had to be sure it was you. You did.
And what else? When you are done, if you save, that's going to save on a file that it's got a CNPROJ tag at the end of it. You really can only open that in Camtasia. If you want to create a file that you can use, like to upload to YouTube, you would go to Share and Local File. And then I usually just export it as an MP4. And so that it takes a minute. That's going to create an MP4 file on my desktop, and then I can put that in YouTube or a lot of the other places that you would put a video you had created. So in closing, Camtasia is a powerful screencasting tool. If that is something that you want to do, it may well be worth the cost of Camtasia. You can record video from Camtasia, video of yourself, video of screencasting. You can also edit video. You can pull in videos you recorded using other programs. It would make sense for workshops and classes. Yeah, and I get a lot of value out of it, but I didn't have to pay for it. So that's Camtasia. You're free to ask me questions if you'd like to know more about it.
Thank you so much, Sarah Beth. I'm always curious about, how's that screen capturing program is. So I learned so many things. Thank you so much. So I'm sorry. I was in charge of the timer, so I don't want to mess up my keyboard. So I haven't really answering the chat. I'm sorry if you have asked me a question. I totally forgot. I asked a question. If you wanted to ask me a question, I'm available at the Facebook or something. Like if I miss something, thank you so much. I just saw Rachel is answering someone's questions for me. So thank you so much, Rachel. And I'm sorry if I didn't miss the question. I was so nervous about, I shouldn't mess up the timer. So hope you guys had yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. We have Yes Story Lab with Gail on the family story coming up on the April 29th. Free for Yes member and 15 for non-members. It's gonna be a great story lab. Yes, that's every 3 months we invite expert storyteller in a topic, and then they will do a presentation lecture. The past presentation included, let's see, audience interaction, bilingual storytelling, virtual shows, how to tell the story with objects. It was really great. So please come. It's not free for non-members, but you can join us, or it's $15. Please take a link. If you want to check out Yes Facebook page, please look for Youth Educator Storytellers. Yes, it's on the Facebook link. So please like, and then we will put the recording sometime within a month. We will put it. So thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate that you stopped by and spending coffee with us this morning. And hope it was helpful. It was so helpful to me. So thank you so much.